Welcome to 10 Minutes to Transactions, where we're going to show you how to add Pi network transactions to your app. We're first going to set up your app in the Pi ecosystem, and then we're going to create a Rails app with a buy button that is implemented both as a stimulus controller and then a React component. And then we're going to turn to another framework and create a Next.js app with a buy button. Each one of these implementations is going to take you less than 10 minutes to be able to get your applications to process Pi transactions. All right, let's get started setting up your app so it can be used in the Pi ecosystem. You're going to need to open up your Pi mining app and then click on the hamburger menu in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. It's going to show you a list of options. What you need to do then is click the Pi utilities. That'll bring you to a screen that has 6 icons on it. We're interested in develop. And when you click on that, that's going to bring you to a screen that lists all of your apps. You're going to then need to press the new app button, and that's going to start the process of collecting information for your new app. So we go to this create app page. You need to provide an app name and a description, and you're going to stay within the Pi testnet network. You click submit. That's going to bring you to the screen for your app. And then what we're going to do is going to have you hit the configuration button. That is going to bring up a bunch of configuration items that you need to that you could provide. The two key ones you need right now are the app development URL. This should be something like HTTP localhost and a port number 3000. And you need to provide a external URL for it. At this point, just put something in there that has HTTPS and it looks like a valid URL. Once you're done with that, you can then submit. And then what's going to happen is you're going to get back to that screen for the app, and then you're going to need to do two things. One is set up your wallet for this app. So you just go ahead and click on wallet and then follow the instructions. It's going to ask you to save some stuff. And then make and assign a wallet for this app. Likewise, you're going to then need an API key. In which case you're going to go ahead and click on the API key and it'll give you the secret code, and you're going to need to store that someplace because you're going to need it in the next couple of steps. Once we now have everything ready to go on the Pi server side, and what's going to happen is that once we start working with the sandbox, the sandbox on its first time through, it's going to ask for you to authorize the sandbox. It'll put up a sequence of letters and numbers. You need to go back to your Pi utilities screen in the mining app, and down at the bottom of Pi utilities, you're going to see that little authorize sandbox link. You're going to click on that, and then you're going to copy your letters and numbers in there. And once you click the button there, that give it a few seconds, and then you should be able to access your app through the sandbox. All right, now let's turn to our first app. We're going to build a basic Rails app. So we're just going to start off with a nice clean app. So we're going to say Rails new TMTT for 10 minutes to transactions. And this is going to go on and do its thing. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go down into the project directory. And then we are going to need to add a gem to our our gem file. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add the PySDK Rails gem to the gem file, and then we're going to do our bundle install. Okay. Once that's finished, then we're ready to actually install the PySDK app, and we do that with Rails generate PySDK install. Okay. This PySDK install will set up all of the necessary components for providing a vanilla stimulus controller. Okay. So adds all of that in there. All right. And then we are going to just make sure install, make sure everything's okay. We'll actually even do a yarn install here just in case. All right, looks good. All right, so now we're all ready to go, but we need to have a way to see what's going on here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add a simple controller called root, and it's going to have an index page. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to need to make sure that our Rails app is going to send us to that index page. So we're just going to edit the config routes. And now what we need to do is we need to just be able to go to the, we need to add a button at the end of our root index. So we're just going ahead and cat into that index file. So we're just going to add a div with a data controller and a button, and all of that should be used by the stimulus system. Okay. All right. Now what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to load up our secret API. So you're going to need to have something that you're going to have to define an environment variable that has that API in it. Okay. It's going to look something like this, just Py API key. You're going to get that from the Py developer page. All right, now at this point, we should be able to say, go ahead and run our controller from here, our application from here. So there we go, and it is up and running. Now let's take a look at our app and see it run through the sandbox. In order to do that, what we're going to have to do is we're going to visit the sandbox at mindpy.com, mobile app UI app, and then the name of your app. And this one is TMTT demo. And once we get that, then what it's going to do is it's going to actually, as we said, set it up to read from localhost 3000. We get our root index that we built, and there's now a buy button. This button normally starts off disabled and only becomes enabled once the app has authenticated the user and is all ready for transactions. So now that it's activated, we can go ahead and click it, and now we should be able to start processing a transaction. Since in the sandbox we don't have a biometric option here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy in my passphrase. And so when I do that, then we're going to disappear a little bit, and then I'm going to come back with the next page, because I'm just going to go click that purple pay with TestPy, and through the magic of editing, will be done. Okay, now we are back. Okay, now it is time to go ahead and send that payment in, and then we'll go ahead and click that, and then the transaction will complete, and we've got our payment succeeding. And then we go ahead and we're back to our original page. All this engine does is it allows you to build that buy button and provide the front end and back end hooks that are needed in order to make it happen. You can find more documentation on how you can customize this in the README for the PySDK Rails. Let's go ahead and shut down our server. What we're going to do now is we're going to add the capability of tracking the transactions within the local database. In order to do that, we're going to need to create two models. The first of them is a user model, which is going to be here. We're just going to have an email in there for now. And then we're going to also have an order model, okay, which is in this case just has a description in it. It's going to be more complicated as you need it, or you can be using other models as well. But to take care of the transactions themselves, we're going to generate a PyTransaction model. Okay. It's going to hook up to the order and user models or whatever tables that you're using yourself. You can set those as arguments to the generator. Okay, so now we need to do Rails DB migrate. So now we get a bunch of fun things in there. Now we can go ahead and go to bin dev, run our server now. So we're going to come back to go ahead and restart this. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and do another buy. Okay, and now I'm going to do the same disappearing act. Okay, so now we're back. I'm going to click send, and then we get to see the payment, and we're back. But now let's go ahead and look at our server. We've got a whole bunch of database activity, and so now what we're going to do is we can go ahead and take a look at some rake tasks. PySDK. And so we've got two. We can do rake PySDK transactions, or PyTransactions. And what that's going to do is list out the transactions. So there's an ID, and then we have a payment ID that refers to the blockchain, and we have a state. The transactions can be in different states. Either they're waiting for approval, things like that. The user ID, who did this, and then the order ID that that the transaction was based on. So we'll be able to get that. We also can be looking at the user information for the people who've been using PyTransactions. All right, and so that's the capabilities that we have for the basic for the basic Rails. We can also then come up and we can actually build a React-based Rails app as well. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a brand new Rails And then we're going to go ahead and basically go through the same operations again. We're going to add the gem file, add the PySDK to the gem file, do our bundle install. And everything's good. The only difference is that instead of PySDK install, we're going to say PySDK install React. And so now that we have our React-based server running, we can go ahead and load it up. We now see that we have the React PySDK, Buy with Pi. The button is active. I click on the button, and it starts the payment processing, which is the same as it was with the stimulus case. So we've seen that we've been able to do both stimulus and React in our Rails app in less than 10 minutes on either one of them. Next, we're going to look at how to do this with Next.js. All right, let's go ahead and get started with our Next.js app. And we're going to use yarn create next app. Take all of the default settings. We'll then cd into the project directory once this is finished, and then we'll add our package. We're doing pretty good there, so let's go ahead and go into our directory. Next. Then what we're going to do is go ahead and add our package, so PySDK Next.js. Once that is loaded, then we're going to go ahead and ask it to add both a PyButton component and routes that are going to be able to handle the transaction processing. All right, so once we've got that far, we're looking pretty good. Now we need to make some small adjustments to the layouts and the page so that we can actually see our PyButton. First thing we're going to do is go ahead and add the script tag to our layout. Now, once that's in there, we can go ahead and add our minepy.com PySDK JS. Okay. Now that the layouts are finished, we can now move to going to our page. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and import the PyButton. And then we are going to go ahead and put the PyButton on the page. With all of those things in place, then we can do a yarn build. Okay. And then we can go ahead and start our server. And there it goes.